touched down for his second state visit to the United Kingdom, but amidst the fanfare of his pending meetings with the royal family and Prime Minister Keir Starmer, the Jeffrey Epstein scandal is still casting quite a shadow all the way across the Atlantic. CNN anchor and chief White House correspondent Caitlin Collins is on the ground near Windsor Castle. Caitlin, explain the connection here.
Yeah, Jake, and not really just casting a shadow. I should note they're literally casting images of this on Windsor Castle earlier tonight to kind of remind everyone of those ties that you mentioned there with Jeffrey Epstein. This was done. I should note 4 people have actually been arrested as a result of this. And these images that we recorded here showing that alleged birthday letter that was in the Jeffrey Epstein book that was released, pictures of with Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. That's that old footage from Mar-a-Lago. They also are posting images of the president's mugshot. I'm not so sure he would mind that one. They have it hanging inside the halls of the West Wing. But Jake, the one thing that the British Prime Minister and President Trump do have in common is they've now both had to fire senior officials in their orbit as a result of their ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Obviously, Trump did so in his first term with his then Labor Secretary Alex Acosta, the one who negotiated that sweetheart deal for Jeffrey Epstein years before he was the Labor Secretary, but something that became a sense of intense scrutiny, obviously, after Jeffrey Epstein's federal charges that he was facing. And most recently, for the British Prime Minister, had to fire his ambassador to the United States, a huge position and certainly a critical one, especially ahead of a state visit over his ties to Jeffrey Epstein, something that was known before he took the job, but became much clearer after a lot of this information became public, including emails and messages between Ambassador Peter Mandelson and Jeffrey Epstein. And so obviously that is part of this that is going into this. It's not looming over the entire trip. It's certainly an angle of it, Jake, given obviously it's been a huge interest for the president's base inside the United States and also for lawmakers inside Washington. So it remains to be seen if it comes up. Certainly who they pick as the next ambassador to the United States is a key role, because this is someone who talks to top officials. Peter Mandelson was helping negotiate deals with the Vice President J.D. Vance in the days before his ouster. And so it's a key role here that could get brought up as the president is here now for his second state visit with the UK.
And Caitlin, aside from the Epstein-related discomfort, what do we know about President Trump's existing relationship with the royal family and his relationship with the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer?
Well, he's always had a fascination with the royal family. And so we are going to see that put on display here. He's had a state visit before. That was in 2019, his first time in office, but obviously with a different monarch, and also it was at Buckingham Palace. And so this one will look a lot different than his last state visit, which they have been keen to highlight how that is unprecedented to offer that to a U.S. president to be able to afford 2 of those, given his 2 terms in office. He'll be meeting with all the royal family here tomorrow. They are going to have basically every sense of pomp and circumstance that you can think of, Jake, rolling out every single red carpet that they have for the president. And so we'll see how that proceeds as they are meeting with them. Then after that, he'll go and meet with the British Prime Minister at Chequers, which is the country residence for the British Prime Minister. All of these are moments to watch very closely. And Jake, they're actually intertwined, because having this state visit is a huge card, basically, that Keir Starmer has in his pocket, a way to impress the president, to ingratiate him with the UK, and to try to use that, obviously, to benefit them, whether it's on trade, defense, business, all of those issues that are going to come up on Thursday here for this state visit.
Tonight, the man who has reshaped the world order, for better or worse, entered the history books, touching down at Stansted to become the first ever president to have the red carpet rolled out twice for a state visit. He and First Lady Melania boarding a helicopter for the short transfer into London. As Donald Trump arrives in London, so begins a charm offensive on an epic scale. Tomorrow, Britain will deploy all of its pomp and ceremony in an effort to nurture that special relationship.
Mr. President, Mr. President.
Before he left Washington, President Trump appeared to be relishing the prospect of what lay ahead.
It's a great honor. And this one's at Windsor. They've never used Windsor Castle for this before. But basically up there also on trade. They want to see if they can refine the trade deal a little bit.
Good morning. This is Morning Sky. I'm your host, Sky. Now, this is a very weird space. 'Cause I'm not sure. I tried to do as much homework as I could do, but why in the world were 4 people arrested for projecting images? Could that have happened in America for just projecting images? Could you be arrested for projecting images? Or is that a UK thing? Like they don't have the same kind of rights that we do, that we possess. That's what I want to know. I don't care about the pomp and pageantry and all the, the horse-drawn carriage rides and all that. The Windsor Castle. The president of the United States is entertaining the largest family of welfare recipients in all of mankind, in all of human history. As far as I know, I could be wrong. Correct my dumb ass if I'm wrong. But I think it's the royal family has, multiple billions of dollars, and throughout the years, it has to be in the trillions of dollars over, the 1,000+ years that England has been in function. And then, of course, when it was, I don't know, transformed or converted or I don't know what, taken into United Kingdom. What is it? North Ireland, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England. I think that's the UK. If I'm not, once again, correct my dumb ass if I'm wrong. But I don't care about all this. I don't care. I don't care. Like, how is this even news? Who cares? The president can only do one thing for me: protect my individual rights. That's it. He going on trips to UK and meeting with the king and the queen and the prince. Who really? What does this all mean? What is this, some geopolitical scheme to consider tea from China and India? I just read a little story about that. There's a tariff, I think, or some kind of limit on a 315-year-old tea manufacturer in England. It's just weird. It's just strange. It's awkward too. It's weird. It's weird because we beat them, but they didn't really get beat. They like kind of just said, yeah, 13 colonies, whatever. All right, sure. Do what you got to do. We're going to fight the Spanish and the French, as Dr. Jerome Brooke pointed out on many occasions. I learned that because you don't learn that in school. They just say, "Oh, there's a Revolutionary War and we won, woo!" And then we go on to the next one. They don't really explain that the reason why we won. They think, "Oh, well, there were patriots," and to some extent, it's true. There were patriots that were fighting for their rights, fighting for their whatever piece of land they may have owned or something like that. And that could have been true. But the fact is that England, Great Britain, I think they're interchangeable. I could be wrong there too. But they were more concerned about Spain and France than some third-rate colonies in this other world. We don't have time for that. We're good. And then in 1812, they fought again. I don't even understand why they fought again. I don't remember. To be honest with you, I'm just going riffing right now. But 1812, they burned down the White House. I think it was 1814 or something like that. Yeah, it's a strange set of ideals, strange weird world we live in. Trump, I just don't understand. They just say what happened. They don't say why it happened. They say four people arrested for projecting images on, I guess it was one of the towers or something like that, one of the castle towers or something crazy. And it's like, what? Okay, how's that a crime? What is the crime there? That in America, that's protected by First Amendment. Am I right? Please correct me if I'm wrong. You're allowed to project images that aren't obscene, or they weren't obscene. They were just images of Trump with Epstein, and I still don't understand that whole story. Why is that even a thing? I don't understand why that even continues. I'm not like caping for the president, but it doesn't make sense to me. Why in the world is that part of the deal? Why is that part of reality? Why is that part of anything? Epstein. So he hung out with Epstein. There's plenty of people that Jay-Z hung out with R. Kelly and Puffy. They're both convicted felons. Jay-Z's, I guess he's cool. He kind of fell off, but I believe he's still intact. But I just don't understand the connection. What is the connection? What are they trying to say? What is the meaning? Show me the meaning. That's Metallica. But anyway, I just this whole the horse is trotting, and the Star Spangled Banner, that tune is interesting. It comes from a popular 18th century British song called To a Narcion in Heaven, or the Narcionitic Song. So it's a British song. So they just played basically their own song because they didn't have anybody sing. Anybody notice that? The band played this song. What is it? To Anacreon in Heaven. To Anacreon in Heaven. The tune comes from that particular place. So what they were playing was their own song. They didn't have a singer. They didn't have the singer saying, "Oh, say." No, they didn't have that. They had a band play. So it was it's kind of sneaky. It's a little sneaky. They snuck right in on that, They snuck in on that. Trump is, I say he's the worst president in history, followed by Barack Obama, then Nixon, and then Warren G. Harding, and then maybe Woodrow Wilson, and possibly Andrew Johnson. These are the horrible presidents of all time. But Trump takes the cake. He's horrible. He's horrific. It's like disgusting after disgusting. Cougar, I salute you, sir. Cougar.com. Make sure you hit that donate button as well. Cougar is in the building. Hit that like button. Yes. Hit that donate button too. I know it's not a button, but you know what I mean. Venmo at Skyrise. Make sure you guys know that. And also on YouTube, if you haven't already, subscribe. I appreciate it very much. I'm 10 away from 1,000. It's the craziest thing. I swear. It's like they're almost, it's like a conspiracy. It feels like a conspiracy. It's like, oh, we're just going to keep them within arm's range. Ha ha ha. It feels weird to me. It's just like, it's a strange feeling to not get that 1,000. And I've got to 990 subscribers. How the hell did I get to 990 subscribers, but I can't get 10? It's weird to me. It's strange. And it sucks how people can't subscribe more than once. That'd be awesome. Give me more subscriptions. But I understand. I'm just joking. I'm just kidding. But this Windsor Castle meeting is just barbaric. It really is. It's barbary. It's a display of treachery and political, distrust and stuff like that, because they don't really, we really don't care about each other. We'll go to war with for each other. UK was in Afghanistan and Iraq, I believe. We give them intelligence. They give us intelligence, I'm sure. We give them money. I don't know how much money, but I think we give them, billions of dollars, but I'm not sure. So correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, so it just kind of wears on you because you don't understand. It's hard to understand, the fact that when it comes up to July 4th, it's like Britain's it's an awkward position. They're like, yeah, July 4th, really, in it. That's my terrible English accent. My trainer's going to uni from my flat. But seriously, it's really embarrassing, you know. Not the Epstein videos or photos that were projected, and I have to say that why were they arrested? It just says arrested. You know, 4 were arrested. Oh, okay, but why? Could that happen in America? I think that's part of First Amendment, freedom of expression, freedom of speech. Cougar's column says Epstein was a problem, giving the biggest government in the world absolute fits. Okay. Could you expound upon that a little bit more, Cougar? I'm not sure I understand where you're coming from. Tell me a little bit more of what you're trying to say. How was Epstein a problem? How did he give the biggest governments in the world absolute fits? How did that happen? Anyway, yeah, all that grandeur and all that stuff, all of that paid for by the people of UK, people in England and the surrounding areas, all paid for out of their tax dollars, just to see this buffoon and chief go all over the place in that area. That's, like I said before, like that is the one thing that Trump can do. Trump can protect the individual rights of American citizens. That's all he needs to do. When he goes when he goes jet setting around the world, or helicoptered around the world, or wherever the hell it might be, it's just another reminder of how corrupt and ugly his policies are. Let's see if I can get something else. That, of course, was to Anacreon in heaven. Trump is the next king. Yeah, that's what he wants. Epstein was a problem given the... Okay, that's the same one. Black Cuddy, salute. Make sure you hit that donate button. Salute to you, sir. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. I see you out there. You're getting your hustle on. That's all right. Salute to Black Cuddy. Hit that Cash App. I appreciate it. But you see, this is all, this is like weird tongue-in-cheek kind of strange stuff going on right now. And why are the prince and princess not under the little white little I don't know, it looks like a manger. I don't know what the hell that is, but why are they standing off to the side with the I guess those are military dignitaries and or military personnel and the parts of the royal guard. It's weird. That is weird. But yeah, so this is a weird situation. I swear it is. This is weird.
Shoulder! Arms! Mr. President, the Guard of Honour, the Grenadier Guards, the Coldstream Guards, and the Scots Guards are present and awaiting your inspection.
There's King Charles and President Trump. This is them inspecting the Guard of Honor. I want to bring back our Royals contributor, Victoria Murphy. Victoria, explain a little bit about what this part of the ceremony means. Why do this?
This is a very staple part of state visits when the visiting head of state is invited to inspect a Guard of Honor. And it's all about that kind of offering that sense of respect to the visiting leader that they are inspecting the British troops. And we're seeing today another sort of unprecedented element to this visit. We're seeing additional military flags that are paraded. Usually for a state visit, we see the flag of one regiment that has been chosen to be paraded. And now we are seeing 3 today. So the Ministry of Defence has emphasised that that is not something that we have seen before. We're seeing 3 military flags of the Grenadier, the Coldstream and the Scots Guards being paraded today. Again, the Scots Guards, possibly a deliberate choice because of President Trump's Scottish roots there. And this is a really, always a really important part of the ceremony of a state visit and providing that very powerful military imagery there.
And Victoria, it is a lot of ceremony now, but how much of this is meant to symbolize that, we are ready to back you if needed, we are prepared, we have these troops?
I think US-UK military cooperation is a big theme of this trip. The MOD emphasised it when they put out information about this unique flyover that we're going to see later on today from US-UK military jets, the first time we've ever seen that. And they said that shows the strength of the military cooperation. Today is all about the pomp and ceremony. Today is all about the royal family. They are front and centre for the whole of today, hosting all of these events. And then the focus very much changes tomorrow when the president will go to our prime minister's country residence, Chequers in Buckinghamshire, and that is where those political talks will take place. But for today, the sense is that the focus is very much on the ceremonial aspect of the military.
And Maggie, what's on the agenda as President Trump meets with the royal family today?
Yeah, well, there's a full day, Diane, and the pomp and circumstance just really continues. You see them wrapping up this inspection of the Guard of Honor now. There'll be a lunch. And one thing that I think is really interesting is that as part of today, after lunch, they are presenting artifacts to President Trump, sort of these mementos from history that share some type of relationship between the UK and the US. And this is something they do on state visits often. With the visiting head of state, they bring out things that could be of importance to the visiting head of state, that person's country. So when President Trump visits, they'll do just that with things that have historical importance to the UK-US relationship. Do we have any idea what these are, though, Victoria?
Don't know what they are yet. They're brought up by the Royal Collection Trust, who manages the collection of all of the items that the royal family keeps in trust for the nation. And they very carefully select items that they think will be of real interest to the visiting head of state. So it will be very interesting to see what they have chosen. We will find out about that after they have looked at them. There's usually a display laid out when it's in Buckingham Palace, it's in the picture gallery. Obviously, we are in Windsor today. So after this, there will be a private lunch, which is not, we will not see. And then they will look at those artifacts together.
Okay. All right. Got a little bit more information, but I still want to know how much all this costs. It's probably costs in the tens of millions of dollars, I would imagine, for the taxpayers in UK. Another question, of course, I have is why there were 4 people arrested for projecting images on the wall. I don't understand that. There's a disconnect. What are the laws? What are the rights that UK citizens have? Do they have the right to diminish the crown? They may they're going at Trump. They're not going at their king and queen, because they may have troubles for that, beyond just being arrested. They can have heavy fines or be in prison for a long time. I'm not sure. I would love to know. I would really love to know. But that's the reality in which we live. There are men and women suffering and dying in places like Gaza and Ukraine, and they're putting on a pageantry and putting on a show, a whole popping pageantry. It really is disgraceful, in my opinion. It really is disgraceful. You have these guardsmen with their bearskin hats. Oh, I'm sorry. Every time I look at them, I'm like, that's hilarious. You can't live that down. You can't live that bearskin down. That bearskin top, that bearskin hat. It's a classic right there. It's the funniest thing to me. I don't know why. I remember commercials saying, you can't touch them, you can't make them break their straight face, you can't say anything. A lot of tourists try to taunt them and things of that nature. You just can't do it.
And there will be some explanation of the feeling behind choosing the particular artifact. And then we see the president's program continue later on today with a visit to Queen Elizabeth's grave. He will be visiting her tomb. We think privately that's how Macron did it when he came to Windsor. But he's also going to get a tour of St. George's Chapel as well. Of course, that spectacular Gothic chapel, the site for so many big royal moments. And of course, the burial place of Queen Elizabeth and her father as well.
We're
one
seeing
thing that surprised me as well, Victoria,
we're seeing the Royal Horse Artillery march past the president, the first lady, the king, and the queen. Now we're eventually going to see all.
He eats all this up, Trump. Trump eats all this up. He loves the royals. He wants to be king. He wants to be dictator. And that's the saddest part about all that, and part of our American politics and our global geopolitics. Now, we must shift gears. A little bit of change. A reflection of Spic Heritage Month. A lot of Spics. I can't tell if this stuff is copyrighted. I'm going to be using it. This is all footage of the demolition of Pablo Escobar's old apartment. This guy was
En esa esquina allá,
feeling some kind of way.
guardaespaldas de la esposa de Pablo Escobar, a mí me dio un disparo hace tiempo, porque sí, pero eso no fue tan importante. Aquí murieron muchas personas, entre ellos un hermano, después, entre las balas de esta ciudad.
Those buildings look like the buildings in America, in Wilmington, Delaware. And of course, we had to go here.
For more than 25 years, Colombia has been working to leave behind the violent legacy of Pablo Escobar. But there's one unusual problem that keeps growing: the notorious drug lord's pet hippos. Manuel Bajorquez reports.
Along the shallow waterways of Colombia's Magdalena River, an invasive species threatens the ecosystem and possibly a way of life.
There are fishing villages that dot the river, and we've just spotted what appears to be a hippo who is now trying to hide from us. There it is. There it is. Wow.
A brief glimpse of a giant native only to Africa, now running wild in Colombia. The story of the hippo starts here, via Nápoles, the former estate of Pablo Escobar, who in his heyday had 4 hippos smuggled here for his private zoo. Escobar's ranch housed hundreds of exotic animals, including rhinos, elephants, and giraffes. By the 80s, his cocaine empire made him the wealthiest and most feared drug lord in the world. For Colombia, it was a reign of terror. He's said to be responsible for some 7,000 deaths.
Yo soy Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria.
Still, he's become part of popular culture with shows like Netflix's Narcos.
Hipopótamos. Lo puede partir en dos con una mordida.
In this scene, Escobar's character threatens to throw a rival leader to the hippos. Around the time Escobar met his death in the early 90s, the government relocated most of the animals, but not the hippos.
People forgot the hippos.
People forgot the hippos.
So the hippos were then allowed to just roam free.
Yes.
And they had offspring.
Biologist David Echeverri works with CORNARE, the environmental agency in charge of tracking and managing the hippos in the region.
And how many are there now?
About 50 hippos or more.
That you know of, there are 50, but clearly you're not going to be able to see them all.
Yes, because look at the round. There's a huge area, and that's a paradise for the hippos.
Paradise because they have no predators and ample food and water. But they're getting too close to people. It's not uncommon to spot a 3,000-pound hippo walking around town. Locals call them the village pets. Echeverri says they're anything but.
The hippos are very dangerous. The hippos are territorial species.
So they will attack people?
Yes.
In Africa, hippos cause more human deaths than any other large animal. So far, there are no known attacks in Colombia. The majority of the hippos still live inside Escobar's former estate, which was turned into a theme park back in 2007.
Lo más cerca que digamos uno puede estar de un hipopótamo
So he's saying we're getting as close as we can to these hippos at the main lake here.
Entonces, mucho cuidado.
You have to be
Ellos
careful.
puede que salgan del lago. Si corremos en línea recta, ellos corren más rápido que nosotros.
A bit of a crash course in how to get close to these creatures is not to get too close, of course. He says they may come out of the water to let us know we're on their territory. And if they charge, run in a zigzag motion because they can only run in a straight line. There they are. They're letting us know that they know we're here. You can see all of those hippos behind us here. Now, the problem is they can't keep them contained. Others have been able to get out, and that's how they're turning up in other areas.
2 veces al día se les trae zanahoria picada, pasto picado y se les deposita en una de las
Para
playas.
mantenerlos aquí, so you
Para que
feed them
sepan-
to
sí.
try to keep them here.
Exactamente.
Oberdan Martinez runs the theme park. Here, the hippos are a main attraction.
What we're seeing here is the only pack of hippos in the wild outside of Africa.
En esta región, en Doradal y en la parte pues semi-rural y urbana, es más común ver el hipopótamo que el cerdo.
It's more common to see a hippo here than a pig.
Sí.
Que un cerdo.
There's concern the hippos have already started to displace native wildlife, like the threatened manatee, and keep getting too close for comfort.
Sí, a mí se me pasó el macho y me pasó por debajo del bote subiendo aquí por este caño arriba.
So a male
es un
hippo
Es un
under your
tipo.
boat, bajo de su
Eso,
bote,
mejor dicho, vea, más de la brazada
así
mía,
de grande, this big.
de ancho.
In the past year, fisherman Pablo Jose Mejia has come across 5 hippos that have ventured outside the theme park.
El animal es como un perro, saberlo dar el trato bien.
So it's like a dog. As long as you know how to deal with them, you'll be okay.
Claro.
But Echeverri fears with an ever-growing hippo population, it's only a matter of time until someone gets hurt. And killing the animals has proven highly unpopular.
We can just kill the hippos. And the other solution is relocate hippos, is sterilizing hippos.
Sterilizing, that would be very difficult.
Yes.
And it's expensive
and
too.
expensive and very dangerous.
But with limited funds, it's a solution unlikely to stem the tide on a legacy that just keeps resurfacing. For CBS This Morning Saturday, Manuel Bojorquez, Puerto Triunfo, Colombia.
So there you have Pablo Escobar, known multi-billionaire based off the drug trade. That's the question I want to know. How many billionaires other than Jay-Z that have escaped the drug trade either from death or imprisonment and is continually and currently a billionaire or may have died recently? He may be the only one I can think of. I don't think there's too many. And it wasn't like Jay-Z was a kingpin. He wasn't like Pablo Escobar or something like that. He's just a middle to upper level hustler. You know, he wasn't, super rich. He got a few hundred, maybe tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe from the drug game. But anyway, Pablo Escobar, part of Spic Heritage Month. He had the hippos. He smuggled the hippos in from Africa. They're the only other place other than that continent is in South America. This population where they procreated and made more hippos and more hippos, all because of Pablo Escobar. He wanted to have them as a deterrent for anybody that crossed him or was disloyal, because there are some vicious creatures. They're kind of cute. They're kind of they're big and kind of funny looking, but and you think about the game Hungry Hippos, but they're definitely hungry. They're hungry for plenty of food, and they have all the water in the world in South America. So just goes to show you that Pablo Escobar, whose estimated net worth at his death in 2025 numbers was $80 billion. $80 billion. But at the same time, like I was saying with, previously with Griselda Blanco, she was actually, putting in work and getting trade routes for cocaine via multiple spots and multiple personnel, all while Pablo Escobar was still breaking into cars. So just to give that perspective. Pablo Escobar, he was trying to be the man of the people. He wanted to project himself as a warrior, as a Robin Hood kind of figure. Robin Hood is probably one of the most evil, if not the most evil representative in all of literature. He tried to project that, show that he's stealing from the poor, stealing from the rich to give to the poor, kind of thing. He's handing out turkeys on Thanksgiving, kind of thing. That kind of sticks with you. That is, the truth behind all this. This is a reality, and you fast forward to today, and we're bombing boats for quote unquote narco terrorists, whatever the hell that means, and that's supposed to be some kind of guard against drug trafficking, when cocaine is cocaine again after a lapse. And I guess it was cut, and I guess there was a lot of problems with it. It wasn't, but now it's in high demand again. People are taking either cocaine or fent, coke or fent. It's an upper or a downer, opioid or stimulant. That's the cocaine is a stimulant, the opioid is a depressant, and they're in high demand. And as long as they're in high demand, people gonna buy them. People gonna buy the drugs. This is just common sense. It's just supply and demand. This is that simple. Yet we have all these draconian laws against having drugs run into this country. When it's brown people, it's brown people. That's where the best coke comes from, South America. And it's weird too, because you can't. I don't think you can plant a coca tree in America, and I think they're getting cracking down on coca plants and locations, and they have to be in secluded, very shady regions of South America and Colombia and other surrounding areas, Peru, Bolivia. That's the reality of it. That's what's so disturbing in a lot of ways. So I'm gonna try to see if I can find another video. See, I don't know National Geographic. I know CNN. Hell, I'll go for
Now,
it.
of course, President Trump, as Stefano has been saying there, has made cracking down on drug cartels a central goal of his administration, but he ratchets up his standoff with Venezuela. It's actually a U.S. ally, Colombia, that's the world's largest producer of cocaine. The government there has spent decades fighting drug trafficking, but now it's at the risk of U.S. decertification for inadequate counter-drug measures, a move that would cut millions of dollars in development programs as well as military assistance. Colombian Defense Minister Pedro Sanchez joined me in the studio for an exclusive interview here in London. I started by asking him what role Colombia played in the U.S. strike on that boat in the Caribbean that Stefano was talking about, that boat carrying 11 alleged members of the Venezuelan criminal gang Tren de Aragua, which the U.S. accuses of drug trafficking. Have a listen.
Debido a que el crimen transnacional no reconoce fronteras, la manera de combatirlo es una cooperación internacional. En el caso de Colombia tenemos medidas que permiten colaborar con los Estados Unidos en términos de inteligencia, de operaciones, pero igual con otras partes del mundo, con otros países. El 70% de la droga que incautamos en el caso colombiano ocurre en el mar. De allí que se requieren unos protocolos para cumplir las diferentes operaciones. Cada país es autónomo y es soberano de realizar operaciones contra el crimen organizado según sus medios y también obedeciendo los tratados internacionales. Para ello, Colombia tiene una estrategia en el mar que se llama Orión. Este año hemos incautado
That spick was talking a lot of spickinese. I can see it on the bottom of the screen, but it's just kind of slowing it down a little bit. Let me see. Let's talk more about the hippos. Why not?
These are cocaine hippos. Sorry, they're not actually carrying cocaine. These 4,000-pound beasts are survivors from the era of Pablo Escobar, who smuggled in 4 of them from a U.S. zoo in the 1980s. These hippos, native to Africa, are pretty much celebrities in Colombia, but not everyone loves them. They've been busy, getting busy, since the kingpin of coke was taken down. There's up to 80 of them now, and researchers estimate that by 2040 the population will grow to more than 1,500, which is no good for the ecosystem of Puerto Triunfo. So many scientists are saying the only option is to kill them. A reminder, Colombia shouldn't have a hippo problem. After Escobar was killed, the government took over the estate. It sent off some animals to local zoos, but these hippos roamed free since they were too large and aggressive to capture. In January, some well-meaning scientists offended the Colombian public by arguing in a scientific journal that the population needed a good old-fashioned cull. That's because Colombia is hippo paradise. Compared to their native habitat, they've got much more water and way fewer natural predators to hunt them. Like actually none, at all. It's hard for a hippo to die here. So these coke hippos have tormented the local ecosystem, competing with native wildlife and polluting waterways with their toxic poops. This fuels algae blooms and reduces oxygen available for native fish.
The real problem with hippos is their uncontrolled reproduction. Being such a territorial species, it offers a latent danger for fishing population and other people who live in this area.
But people who live in the area are obsessed with hippos.
Que no nos los maten porque ellos son animales que quieren vivir igual a nosotros y queremos que estos hipopótamos como nosotros también sigan viviendo acá en este río y sigan siendo parte de nuestra economía y de nuestro sustento y de la belleza natural que aquí podemos presentar.
There's a whole hippo economy. Hippo safari tours, hippo-themed shops. And when each of the 50,000 annual tourists flock to Escobar's old hacienda, now a theme park, they're greeted by this statue of the area's unofficial mascot. All this makes it really hard to get away with a cull, since residents see it as a scientist-sanctioned hippo genocide. But there is another way.
There's been a lot of debate about what should be done about them, how it should be done. People in Colombia and internationally are very resistant to killing hippos.
Professor Shuren's working with government biologists to implement a chemical sterilization program, since castrating a hippo is really tough, practically impossible. Colombia's actually been trying to castrate Escobar's hippos since 2013. They've only managed to castrate about 1 per year, and it's because their testes are, well, hard to get to.
Males and females have internal gonads, so they're all of their reproductive parts are inside of their body, so it's not like castrating a sheep or a pig.
Not only are their balls internal, but they vary in depth, making them tough to find, which leaves sterilization as the only non-lethal option.
You leave them their favorite food, which is cabbage, and then you sort of build a little pen around it, and they just keep coming back into the pen, and then get them used to the pen, and then one day you slam the door shut, and then you've got a hippo in a pen, and then you can dart it and sterilize it. They're hard to catch because they only come out at night. Basically, you have to give them a couple shots. It's like getting your coronavirus vaccine.
Some scientists say the current sterilization program won't be enough.
Sterilization alone is not going to be enough to control this invasion. If we kill a certain number of individuals per year, it's possible to eradicate the population.
If they do decide to kill the hippos, they expect less hippo poop, meaning cleaner waters and more oxygen for fish. But they might be too iconic to sway the public.
it's normal that they have this empathy for the hippos. Hippos are so big and so great. Think about also in the other species of animals that are living there and that are probably going to suffer the consequences of this invasion. For me, what is necessary here is to protect and conserve the integrity of our ecosystem over an exotic species, even if this exotic species is super charismatic and super cute.
Again, the hippos. It's all about the hippos. As part of Spic Heritage Month, I'm highlighting the hippos. Pablo Escobar's cocaine hippos. They are a force to be reckoned with. You just saw how difficult it is to control their population. The late great Bob Barker would have a field day. Have your hippo spayed or neutered. I don't even know if that's possible. Is that the same thing? Is spayed or neutered? I guess they just say sterilized or castrated under the idea of the cocaine hippos. But this is all because of Pablo Escobar. You have to give him credit. You have to give him a lot of credit. He wanted to have the hippos in his own habitat, his own living space, and that's what created a population boom of this, very powerful, even cute kind of creature, the hippos. And it's a weird situation because it's like one thing, it was Pablo Escobar's death, and then out of his death came the life of hippos. It's kind of a little ironic. Death preceded life, tremendous life, in the environment and other places. So Sir Rick James comes in, says, "Ladies and gentlemen, get your pipes up in the air. We are introducing the man who goes out of his way to talk about black killers, hurricanes, Charlie Kirk, and now hippos. You can say he is diverse. In fact, yes, I try to give a different perspective on multiple topics. That's what the whole point of this is: objective perspective on an array of different ideas. That's my I think that's my tagline. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But anyway, yeah, so Pablo Escobar probably didn't even consider the fact that he could have spawned all these different hippos in South America. And I didn't know that he got it from the U.S. He got it from the U.S. because they were brought from a zoo, and from Africa. But they originated in Africa, were transported to the United States, and then smuggled, literally in the word smuggled, to Colombia. So I just think that's funny. My sister and I always talk about it. We always laugh at it because it's just so weird. It's such a weird story. It had the cocaine hippos. They're not really on cocaine. They're not traveling with cocaine or anything that I know of. But they are associated with Pablo Escobar because he bought them. They were probably very expensive. I can imagine how much he must have paid for smuggling these animals. Probably like $250,000 a piece, probably something close to that, maybe even $1 million, probably maybe even $2 million. I don't know, but it probably cost him a pretty penny. But this is the Spic Heritage. I'm representing the Spic Heritage this month, from September 15th to October 15th. I'm giving you the brown people who have changed the world through means of selling illicit drugs around the world. Rick James says, "Sir, would you buy a cocaine hippo?" I would. I would not buy a cocaine hippo. I mean, lead them to the forest. I don't need an accident. I don't need them to go berserk. I'm not like the Tiger King or anything like that. I'm not about that life. I'm not about to be missing an arm or a leg or it chomping off my head. I want to adopt one, Cougar.com says. Yeah, well, you're gonna have to sit. It's gonna set you back probably $2 to $3 million. I would imagine if you want one. It's definitely gonna take some money. Take a lot of money. I just think it's interesting. I just always thought this story always struck me. And that's why there's multiple sources from what was it? I think it was CBS, and then there was Vice, and then hold on, what's this one? This one is Animal Logic. I don't know if that's I can't play that. I can't play anything more than that. Let me get this out of here. I'll play this one.
For decades, these lumbering giants have called the country of Colombia home and have become their own tourist attraction.
These hippos don't bother anybody. And this is just a really nice place, and everybody lives together in harmony.
But the third largest land mammal is a long way from its original home. The so-called cocaine hippos were brought over from Africa by infamous drug lord Pablo Escobar in the 1980s to live on his private estate.
Pablo Escobar had his own zoo down there. And when he was killed, I think it was in 1993, they were able to move some of those animals out. But because the hippos were so large, it was too expensive to get them out of there. They just kind of let them loose. They ran free.
Since then, the population has multiplied. The
Cougar says hippos are cuddly. Yeah, until they bite off your chest, bite off your arm. Yeah, they're cuddly, all right.
The government now estimates there are about 170 hippos in Colombia, descendants of those first animals illegally brought there by Escobar. Hypothetically speaking, if left to their own accord, they could top 1,000 animals within 15 years, according to the government.
Their population continues to grow exponentially, and so it's much easier to control them when there are hundreds of them than when there are thousands of them.
The potentially dangerous animals have been seen roaming local towns, some residents even feeding the hungry hippos.
And those are animals that are kind of reasonably well habituated to people.
But in 2022, they were declared an invasive species, dangerous to water quality, local ecosystems, and other wildlife. A previous attempt to reduce the population by killing them with help from local hunters was met with controversy from animal rights groups.
This has become a really incredibly contentious issue in Colombia.
After years of debate and discussion, the environmental ministry has now begun a new plan. They have surgically sterilized 2 male hippos and 1 female, with plans to sterilize about 40 a year. But the solution is not a cheap one. The ministry says each surgery costs about $10,000, and that's if they're able to catch the hippos safely.
This is certainly a plan worth trying. And, you will know whether it worked or not by how many baby hippos you see.
The country has also proposed transferring some of them to other countries.
No podríamos controlar la población solamente con el tema de la esterilización.
But that could cost upwards of millions of dollars. More than 30 years later, Colombia is still footing the bill from Escobar's notorious narcos era. Valerie Castro, NBC News.
Thanks for watching.
I just think this whole thing is hilarious. And it's a great way to celebrate Spic Heritage Month. Because the Spics put in work. They do a great job. Niggas kind of somewhat do a good job. A little bit. The American Negro, the FBA, the Foundational Black American, has done a great job in a lot of ways. Can't compete with the white man. White man runs the world. Let's not get that confused. White man runs this world. That's reality. You're escaping it. You're not going to escape that. So these narcotics that are coming in on these boats are it's just a disturbing display.
Well, Colombia is proposing a new strategy to deal with its growing hippopotamus population. Yeah, in Colombia. 4 of the animals were actually imported from Africa in the 1980s
Blue
by
Rottweiler.
deceased drug lord Pablo Escobar for his private zoo. They have been multiplying ever since. Hippos are not native to the region, and some scientists warn that they pose a problem for biodiversity and the people living in the area. Meantime, Colombia declared them a toxic invasive species last year, and the government is currently negotiating to figure out where to send them, maybe to India or possibly Mexico. So here to discuss is Audrey Hughes. She's an independent journalist that's been in Colombia for 8 years. So I just need to sort of remind people, Pablo Escobar, he's, a big time drug lord. He dies in 93, and he has this really kind of large zoo on his property with a lot of exotic animals. The hippos escape. It's 1 male and 3 females. Now we're talking about 140 hippos. What are some of the biological and environmental concerns as this hippo population continues to expand?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, they started out as just 4, and now they do estimate that there are around 130, 140. Of course, it's difficult to know.
Yeah.
But because they have no natural predators here, as they would in Africa, the population is booming, and it is affecting the local ecosystem. Because they are such large animals, they consume considerable amounts of grassland and produce significant waste, which then poisons the rivers and kills fish. It threatens endemic species like manatees and otters and turtles, and also scares the fish away, which impacts these local communities where fishing is their main staple.
Mm-hmm. And people should know, you see hippos and they're so big and they're so slow moving. Actually, they can move really fast and they can actually be really aggressive. And people have been injured.
Exactly.
So this is not, Colombia has been trying to tackle this problem for a while now, and they've tried all sorts of different methods to reduce the herd. Are hippos, do they move in herds? I don't even know if that's the right term for it.
Yeah.
So what have they been trying to do that hasn't been working?
Yeah, so this is an ongoing saga now for almost 30 years. They did first try culling. The government basically invited people to hunt the hippos, which was very socially unpopular.
I'm getting mixed information. From what I understand, it was from Africa to United States, and he smuggled it in. They're saying he directly imported the animals from Africa in the 80s, 1980s. It's a shaky warrior. It's very weird. I don't know. Premium Black News. Well, this is Premium Spic News right now. This is for Spic Heritage Month. Talking about brown people. And they're Spanish speaking. Not Spanish people. Spanish people are in Spain. People outside of Spain are Hispanic because they speak the language. Just like England. I don't look like King Charles III. I look like a Black American. I speak his language. I speak English. I try to speak the good English, the good King's English. I try to speak his language.
The first hippo that was killed, there was a photo of him that was widely circulated, Pepe,
I know Black
that caused a lot of public outcry. So after trying culling, they moved on to sterilization, which is really complicated, as you can imagine, and very expensive. So yeah, the latest strategy is hopefully to be able to export them, 70 of them approximately, to India and to Mexico, to reserves and zoos.
So here's the thing about exporting them, though. I would think that's even tougher than sterilizing them, because you got to catch them, you got to, I don't know, put them to sleep, you got to get them on a plane, or I don't even know how you move a hippo. I mean, it's so I mean, how likely is this to be a successful option?
Yeah, I mean, there is no simple solution. It's a very complicated problem. And a lot of it is because they're such difficult animals to access, to lure in, to transport. They weigh up to 3 tons. Transporting them in helicopter is no simple feat.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so
I'm sorry, we're showing a video of like a hippopotamus just walking down the street.
running down the street. Yes, they've become local pets basically. But as you mentioned, they are incredibly aggressive and dangerous. So you don't want to get close to one.
Do we know if, you know, any of these countries that we brought up, India, or India's a far away, but India or Mexico, if they're actually willing to take these animals? If
I want to know what hippo meat tastes like. I want to know. They eat cabbage. They drink a lot of water. I bet that meat is tender. I want to know. There's probably hippo delicacy in Africa. I'm sure they have been doing that for centuries, for millennia. They've been eating hippos if they could catch them, or when they die. I'm just imagining it'll probably be really tender. Spanish-speaking niggas, exactly. A friend of mine used to transport wild animals via cars. Wow, that's crazy. Grass-fed hippos, exactly. Well, it's not even they eat grass, but their main dish is cabbage. They love cabbage, and then they make a big mess with their waste in the water, and that kills fish. Isn't that killing fish in Africa too? Or what are these? Only special fish can take their poo? The hippo poo?
they're interested?
Yes, they have been in negotiations about this over the past year. So they have agreed to take them. There are other countries also that have expressed willingness to receive hippos, such as Botswana, Ecuador, the Philippines. So this is the government's latest effort to try and control this population, which the local population is definitely anxious for them to do.
I bet, Audrey, it's such a sort of wacky story, but it's a serious story. People have been, injured by these animals.
Right.
Audrey Hughes, thank you very much.
I feel like talking. Hey, I think that it is such a bizarre story. I've been tracking this story for years now. But it all comes out of the cocaine trade. I guess that's the reason why we're shutting down people. We're bombing boats off the coast of Venezuela, all because of hippos. So we can control the hippo population. So another drug kingpin can't make a zoo for himself with hippopotamus. I think it's hippopotamus. I don't think it's hippopotami. I'm gonna look into that. I think it's just hippopotamus. And it just it's just weird. Let me get in my sponsors. Go to .focus with an underscore, one underscore, DOTFOCUS, one underscore. His YouTube channel. He's looking for the Pink Smiths. You have to subscribe, like, and comment. If you enjoy Call of Duty and other first-person shooters, you will not be disappointed. You will be engaged. You will have fun looking at this guy put in work on this game. Tell him that Silly Sky sent you. Also, visit our friend. He's a friend of .focus, Mr. Peng. Visit lifestrongapparel.com. Go for your raw sea moss needs. He's got snapbacks. He's got gel. He's got treats for the dogs, amongst other products. So make sure, and after you make your selections, type in SKYLER20, Skyler20, as a promo to receive 20% off your purchases. And tell Mr. Payne that Silly Sky sent you. Finally, visit Bayha Jackson's YouTube page and subscribe to learn more about sardines on the grill, fried chicken, near beer, and of course, adult female strippers. Tell them Silly Sky sent you in the comments. And make sure you subscribe. All right. And I know Rick James is going crazy. I can't see the comments, but I'm sure he's going crazy. Yes. I knew it. I knew he was going crazy. Yes, he was. Rick James pointing out that I failed to mention that Bayha Jackson was a child actor. He played the younger version of Doughboy and Boys in the Hood. So just to give that a little bit of clarity. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. Subscribe to my channel, of course. You can see that. That's my own advertisement right down there. See that? Subscribe. YouTube.com/@SKYSAUNDERS. Subscribe. I only need 10 more subscribers to get 1,000. It's the craziest thing ever. Somebody said chicken and hookers. I did, sir. I did. That was myself saying that. But yeah, it's Spic Heritage Month, and I'm highlighting the anti-heroes of their culture and their heritage. They really like to downplay it. They like to ixnay on the Griselda A, ixnay on the Pablo A, you know. But you can't hide history. History will be uncovered even if it's hidden. You can't. History is alive. From the dawn of existence to now, it's all history, and it's here, and it's not changing. So Pablo Escobar, this drug kingpin, this drug lord, killed the day after his birthday. He was born December 1st. He was killed December 2nd, 1993. Enamored by too many rap stars, too many men of color, or black men, FBA usually mostly, just enamored, just, in love with the idea of Pablo Escobar. Nasir, Jay-Z, Rick Ross, Jadakiss, any of the cocaine chic. My favorite genre or subgenre of hip-hop or rap music is cocaine chic. I love cocaine chic. Biggie Smalls, it's like, it goes on the whole list. They're inspired. Rick James says, I have a Pablo. Okay, wait a minute. There's a horrible photo of the cops taking a photo next to the corpse. Yes, there is. There's a fact. That is a fact. I have a Pablo Escobar shirt. Well, okay. Facts. It's cultural appropriation. Griselda. Yeah, I said Griselda. That whole clique. Yeah. I think it's great. I love Griselda. Griselda's great. West Side Gun, Conway the Machine. Oh, God damn it. I'm always missing. You can fill in there if you want to, but I'm trying to remember. Conway the Machine, West Side Gun, and Benny the Butcher. Benny the Butcher. I almost slipped there. But, yeah. Yeah, I like the whole. You spelled clique wrong. It's CLIQUE. But I understand what you're saying. See, that's the weird thing about language. I understand what he's saying. He didn't say it right, but I understand it. That's a strange thing. I'm sure you would have, Rick James. Charles Cosby did. He did when in his heyday. They had conjugal visits. But now we're talking about Pablo and the hippos. Pablo Escobar, not only did he, spawn a whole worldwide drug addiction, addiction to narcotics. He spawned so many hippopotamus. That's the weird thing. That's the strange thing that ties all this together. And Spic Heritage Month, It brings us to a level of understanding. We have to understand that drugs are going to be drugs. Drugs going drug. They're going drug. You can't stop. There's no stopping it. It's a human nature. It's like I've said this before. You say, "Oh, I'm staying from drugs. Oh, let me try these drugs. I'm hooked on these drugs. I can't do anything else. My body got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm done. I'm never using it again." That's one story. Another story is I got hooked on drugs early. I've been doing them. I can continue to do them. I'm all right. I can feel that I can take care of myself and use PCP and cocaine and heroin, and it's all right, and I'm good. Okay, that's another story. Another story is I used cocaine for the first time and I died, and that's it. Okay, you have another story. I use cocaine. I went to a drug rehabilitation center. I took the 12-step program. I'm using my way of expressing myself. It just is. It's sad, really, when you see something so glaring and nobody's talking about it. I'm the only one talking about it, really. I think I'm the only one talking about it besides Dr. Jerome Brook and Mr. Choice Dr. Rain. Legalize all drugs. Legalize them. It's like we have nuclear physicists and people with huge brains and doctors and stuff. It doesn't matter your intelligence. It just matters your stature and your character. That's what matters. Character will say, people really want this stuff. Should be legal to them because of their individual rights. This should not be a nanny state. We should be able to manufacture, produce, distribute, and sell these substances without any problems. Cougar says, I want to find out all the nastiness Gloria Esteban is involved with. Okay. Now you're going somewhere else. I don't know where you're going with that. Lynn Bias used cocaine. That's exactly what I was thinking about. His first, either one of his initial initial times using it, either his first or second or third try, it caused his heart to burst. I think something happened with his heart. He had some kind of condition, and he was taken out of here. He was a major. There are huge expectations, placed on his head. He was poised to be the next Jordan or the next Larry Bird. That's what he was supposed to be. But these hippos are part of Spic Heritage Month too. I use it about once a week. Okay, see? I'm about to say King. Sir Rick James uses these substances. And he's what are you, 76 years old now? 77? What are you, Rick James? How old are you? I forget how old you are, sir. But he's using these drugs, and he hasn't have any problems that I know of. I don't know if he has any issue he hasn't divulged. Okay, you're 77. You're exactly 30 years older than myself. No, 40 years. You're 40 years older than myself. Exactly. I'm 37. You're 40 years older. That is extraordinary. They could be preserving him. They could be giving him assistance. More assistance than not. They still use cocaine. They still use cocaine on eye surgery. That's a fact. I think they call it liquid cocaine or something like that. They use it for eye surgery. I have an essential tremor. I didn't know you had an essential tremor. Is that a result of the drug use, the essential tremor? When I was your age, you weren't even a sperm. That's true. Oh, Rick James is funny. But no, it's the brown people. I like Chris Rock. I like what he was saying. He had a great joke. If black and brown people can, if you can be rich, you can be rich. You can make it in this country. You can make it in this country, but it's got to be something positive. Can't be selling drugs. Can't be doing that. And he said if The people that sold cigarettes were some greasy-headed niggas from North Carolina. They'd be the most dangerous, outlawed, illegal substances on the planet. Cigarettes. So, he's telling the truth. Brown people, they can't sell drugs. Spics can't sell cocaine. They can't sell, do they do heroin? I don't know if they do heroin. But fentanyl, you know, whatever the case may be, producing fentanyl. You can't have that. But yeah, so Spic Heritage Month, Pablo Escobar, just a figure, just a humongous figure. He was supposed to be the man of the people. He was supposed to be Robin Hood. And we saw in New Jack City, Nino Brown handing out turkeys on Thanksgiving. He was supposed to be the man of the people. The Spics. Coming into this, you know, you're just amazed at how the Spics have, you know, been able to just infiltrate the United States. I agree with illegals. I agree with illegals. I mean, people are in fear of the Spic, which they shouldn't be. You have different figures like Pablo Escobar, Griselda, Blanco. They all have a range about them. They have a storied past. They collected billions of dollars worth of cocaine money. People have died in their wake. People were murdered. People were butchered. People were dismembered, tortured. So it just looks like it's a big mess. It's just a big mess. And they, like I said, they try to play it down. They don't want to. Oh, wait, let's not talk about Pablo Escobar too much. So I think I will stop now. I think I have like 11 views or something crazy like that. But I appreciate everybody that came through. And I will most likely see you maybe Friday or Saturday. I might take off tomorrow and Friday. Maybe Saturday and Sunday I'll see you. Okay, so thank you very much. And I appreciate your patronage and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.